The Galactic Council chamber was designed to inspire awe. Massive columns reached toward a ceiling painted with stars. Representatives from 200 species sat in carefully arranged tiers. Everything about the room spoke of order, civilization, and ancient wisdom. Right now, that wisdom was trying to decide whether to punish humanity for saving 40,000 lives. Ambassador Hana Kim stood at the speaker's platform, her jaw tight. Around her, alien delegates argued in dozens of languages. Most of them were angry. The human fleet violated 12 different protocols, the Vortan representative was saying. They entered Council space without authorization. They used weapons banned by treaty. They destroyed 3,000 ships without attempting negotiation. Those ships were committing genocide, Hana replied, keeping her voice level. There was nothing to negotiate. The Council has procedures for these situations, the Centauri delegate added. Committees to form, studies to conduct, diplomatic solutions to explore. Your procedures take 11 days, Hana said. The Quelvans had 3. Your procedures would have studied them while they died. That is an unfair characterization, the Vortan protested. Is it? Hana looked around the chamber. When the distress call came, how many of you mobilized to help? How many of you sent ships, medical teams, anything? She paused. The Helixians sent 3 frigates. We're grateful for that. But the rest of you? You sent thoughts and prayers while 40,000 people waited to be slaughtered. The chamber erupted in angry chittering, clicking, and buzzing. Dozens of delegates tried to speak at once. The council speaker, an ancient being from the Turellian hegemony, raised its voice amplifier. Order, Ambassador Kim, you will show respect for this body. I respect this body, Hana replied. What I don't respect is sitting here debating protocols while people die. You want to punish us for saving lives? Fine, write your sanctions. File your complaints. But we'll do it again. Every single time. The human response was excessive, the speaker said. 47 warships for 1 evacuation. The Krathok had 3,000 ships, Hana replied. How many did you think we should bring? Should we have calculated the minimum force necessary and hoped for the best? Should we have sent just enough ships to maybe succeed? She shook her head. No, we sent enough ships to guarantee success. That's the difference between us and you. In the gallery above the main chamber, Talvin watched with Dr. Una Beck. The Quelvan diplomat had been invited to observe the proceedings. He found the whole thing surreal. They're trying to punish your species for saving mine, he said quietly. They're scared, Una replied. They just saw what humans can do when we fight. That terrifies them more than the Krathok ever could. But you didn't attack anyone except the swarm. Doesn't matter. We showed them we have the ability to attack. That we can mobilize massive force quickly and use it effectively. The Council likes to think they're the most powerful force in the galaxy. We just proved we might be stronger. Talvin thought about the battle. The precision. The overwhelming violence. The casual efficiency with which the human fleet had destroyed a swarm that would have terrified any Council fleet. You are stronger, he said. Much stronger. But you use that strength to protect the weak. Why does that frighten them? Because they don't understand it, Una said. Most species protect their own and maybe their allies. Humans protect anyone who needs it. That's unpredictable. Unpredictable makes the Council nervous. Down in the chamber, the speaker was trying to restore order. Ambassador Kim, the Council must consider the precedent this sets. If every species acted as humanity did, without authorization, without coordination, then maybe the Quelvans wouldn't be the only species you've let die while you debated, Hana interrupted. The chamber went silent. Hana took a breath and continued. Her voice softer. I understand your concerns. Really, I do. You want order. You want predictability. You want to control situations through careful diplomacy. But genocide doesn't wait for committees. Terror doesn't pause for protocol. When someone is dying and you have the power to save them, you act. That's not complicated. That's basic morality. Elder Pyrrha stood up in the gallery. It was inappropriate, but she didn't care. May I speak? The speaker looked annoyed but nodded. The Quelvan representative may address the chamber. Pyrrha made her way down to the floor. She was old, frail, and completely out of place among the powerful beings who ran the galaxy. But she stood straight. I am Elder Pyrrha of Velara 7, or what used to be Velara 7. My world is empty now. My people are refugees on Earth. She looked around the chamber. We sent you a distress call. Every single one of you. We begged for help. And do you know what you sent us? Silence, regrets, Pyrrha continued. Apologies, excuses, the Vortan said they were too far away. The Centauri said they needed to study the situation. The Helixians sent 3 ships. 3 ships for 40,000 people. Thank you for those ships. At least you tried. She turned slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as she could. The humans sent 47 warships. They sent 15,000 Marines. They sent doctors, pilots, and soldiers. They fought a battle against impossible odds to protect people they had never met. And when it was over, they didn't ask for payment. They didn't demand territory or resources. They offered us asylum, free asylum, on their own homeworld. That is admirable, the speaker said, but it does not change the fact that proper procedures were violated. Your procedures would have killed us, Pyrrha said quietly. Every single one of us would be dead right now if humanity had followed your procedures. Tell me, speaker, which is more important, your protocols or my people's lives? The speaker had no answer for that. Pyrrha looked at Hana. The humans called us their people. After knowing us for 3 days, they called us their people and they meant it. When has the council ever said that about anyone? She turned and walked back to the gallery. The chamber remained silent. Finally, the Helixian delegate stood. I move that the council table this discussion. Humanity's actions, while unorthodox, achieved a positive outcome. We should spend our time preparing for the next crisis rather than punishing those who prevented the last one. Seconded, said a delegate from a small species in the outer rim. The vote was close, but the motion passed. The council would not sanction humanity, for now. After the session, Hana found Talvin and Pyrrha in one of the quiet corridors. Thank you, she said to Pyrrha. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, Pyrrha replied. Your people saved mine. Speaking the truth is the least I can do. What happens now? Talvin asked. The council is angry. Other species are watching. What will humanity do? Hana smiled slightly. Same thing we've always done. Help people who need it. Try to do the right thing. Probably make the council angry again. You realize you've changed everything, Talvin said. Word is spreading. Species are learning that humans will respond to distress calls. Aggressively. Effectively. Do you understand what that means? That we're going to get a lot more calls for help? Hana guessed. Exactly, Talvin said. You've made yourselves the galaxy's emergency service. Every species that's threatened will call Earth now. Not the Council. Earth. Hana thought about that. Then I guess we better build more ships. 3 months later, Ambassador Hana sat in her office reviewing reports. 53 species had submitted applications to join the Human Alliance. The Council was furious. Earth was scrambling to handle the diplomatic implications, and the distress calls kept coming. A mining colony under pirate attack, a refugee ship stranded between systems, a research station losing life support. Every time someone called the humans, and every time the humans came. Admiral Sung was promoted to head of Rapid Response Command. His job was to coordinate rescue operations across human space and beyond. He had 5 fleets at his disposal now. It still wasn't enough. Captain J was given command of a new scout ship, the Horizon's Hope. He spent his time mapping remote systems and establishing rescue stations. Wherever he went, people knew his name. Lieutenant Sora trained new pilots in advanced combat techniques. Her students called her the Reaper, but they said it with respect. She was teaching them how to protect people. Commander Hyun's Marines became specialists in evacuation operations. They could secure a population center in hours and evacuate civilians under fire. Other species tried to learn from them. But humans had something others lacked, the absolute conviction that every life mattered. Dr. Yuna ran the alien integration program on Earth. 40,000 Quelvins had become 400,000 refugees from a dozen species. Earth's resources were strained, but no one suggested turning them away. Ensign Wu became a doctor and specialized in alien medicine. She had made a promise to a frightened child, and she intended to keep it. If people needed help, she would be there. On New Zealand 7, the Quelvin colony thrived. They built new houses that looked like their old ones. They planted gardens with seeds from Velara 7. They wrote poems about loss and hope and the strange, fierce humans who had saved them. In the center of the main settlement, they built a memorial. It was simple, just a stone with words carved in Quelvin and Korean. They came for strangers. They stayed until we were safe. Word of the Velara rescue spread across the galaxy. The Krethok survivors told their swarms about the humans. Commander Hyun Lee stood on the surface of Velara 7 and watched his Marines work. They moved through the colony with practiced efficiency, guiding Quelvins toward the transport ships. Every Marine carried weapons, but those weapons stayed on their backs. Right now, they were using their hands to help frightened civilians. "Easy now," one Marine said to an elderly Quelvin who was struggling with the ramp. "Let me give you a hand." The Quelvin flinched at first, but the Marine's touch was gentle. He helped the old one up the ramp and into the transport, then immediately returned for another. Hyun had served for 20 years. He had fought in bad places against bad people. But this was different. This wasn't combat. This was rescue, and somehow it felt more important. "Commander," his second-in-command called. "We've got a problem in Sector 7. Some families are refusing to leave their homes." Hyun nodded and jogged toward Sector 7. He found 3 Quelvin families standing outside their houses, trembling but defiant. "Please," one of them said in broken standard. "This is our home. Everything we have is here." Hyun knelt down so he was at their eye level. His armor made him look huge, but he kept his voice soft. "I understand. But the Krethok might come back. It's not safe here. We have ships that can carry your belongings. You won't lose everything, but we need to get you somewhere protected." "How do we know you won't hurt us?" another Quelvin asked. "You are warriors. We saw what you did to the swarm." "Yeah," Hyun said quietly. "You did. We killed them because they were going to kill you. But we're not going to hurt you. That's not why we're here." He stood slowly and gestured to his Marines. "See them? Every single one volunteered for this mission. They knew it would be dangerous. They knew they might die, but they came anyway. Because saving people matters more than anything else." The Quelvins looked at the Marines. Young humans, old humans, male and female. All of them working to help strangers. "Why?" one Quelvin whispered. "Why would you risk so much for us?" Hyun didn't have a good answer for that. How did you explain human nature to someone who had never seen war? How did you tell them that humans were both the most violent and most compassionate species in the galaxy? "Because it's right," he finally said. "Come on. Let's get you to the ships." This time the families followed. In orbit, Lieutenant Sora was refueling her fighter when the call came through. "Reaper, we've got stragglers. 6 Krethok bioships trying to circle back to the planet. Can you intercept?" Sora was exhausted. She had been flying for 4 hours straight. Her hands ached. Her back hurt. But 6 bioships heading toward 40,000 civilians? "On my way," she said, climbing back into her cockpit. Her wingman protested. "Reaper, you need rest. Let another squadron handle it." "Those are families down there," Sora replied. "My families now. Nobody touches them." She launched from the carrier and accelerated toward the incoming contacts. 6 bioships against 1 fighter. Bad odds again, she smiled. Humans loved bad odds. The bioship saw her coming and opened fire. Biological projectiles filled space. Sora's fighter danced between them, her reflexes enhanced by training and adrenaline. She locked onto the lead ship and fired. 1 down. The others scattered, trying to surround her. She let them. When they committed to their attack vectors, she triggered a pre-programmed evasion pattern that her instructors said was technically suicidal but effective if you're insane enough to try it. Sora was insane enough. Her fighter spun through a series of impossible turns. The bioships couldn't track her. She picked them off one by one. 5 shots, 5 kills. The 6th bioship tried to run. Sora chased it down and destroyed it before it could escape. "Reaper to carrier," she said, breathing hard. 6 hostiles eliminated. "Returning to base." "Good work, Reaper," the carrier replied. "Take an hour rest." "That's an order." "Copy that," Sora said. "But if more show up, wake me." Down on the planet, Ensign Wu Jin was treating a young Quelvin who had been injured during the evacuation. The child had fallen and broken its arm. Wu scanned the injury and carefully applied a medical brace. "There," she said gently. "It'll heal in a few weeks. You're going to be fine." The child's parent watched nervously. "Will it hurt?" "A little," Wu admitted. "But I'm giving pain medication. It'll help." She smiled at the child. "You're very brave." The child looked up at her with large eyes. "Are you going to leave us?" Wu felt her chest tighten. "Not until you're safe. I promise, but then you'll go?" "We have to," Wu said softly. "There are other people who need help. But we'll make sure you're somewhere safe first. Somewhere the bad things can't find you." The child thought about this. Will you come back if we need you again? Wu looked at the parent, then back at the child. Yes, if you call us, we'll come. That's what humans do. It was a promise she had no authority to make. But looking at that small, frightened face, she made it anyway. Elder Pyrrha was on one of the hospital ships when she met Dr. Una Beck. The human doctor was checking on the Quelven refugees, making sure everyone was healthy and comfortable. Elder Pyrrha, Una said, bowing slightly. I'm Dr. Beck, how are you feeling? Confused, Pyrrha admitted. And grateful. And terrified. I have so many emotions I don't know what to do with them all. Una smiled. That's normal. You've been through something traumatic. It's okay to feel everything at once. Your people saved us, Pyrrha said. I still don't understand why. The Galactic Council did nothing. Other species sent regrets, but you came with an army. It wasn't an army, Una corrected gently. It was a rescue fleet. The weapons were just necessary tools. Those tools killed thousands. Yes, Una said quietly. They did. Because the Krethok wouldn't leave peacefully. They were here to slaughter your people. We couldn't let that happen. Pyrrha was quiet for a long moment. On my world, we study philosophy. We believe all life is precious. We believe violence is always wrong. She looked at Una. But you saved us with violence. How do I reconcile that? Una sat down next to her. I don't know if you can. Humans have struggled with that question for thousands of years. We hate violence. We really do. But we hate watching innocent people die even more. So we became good at violence specifically so we could protect those who can't protect themselves. How can your people be so terrible and so kind at once? Pyrrha asked. Because we're complicated, Una replied. We're capable of great cruelty and great compassion, sometimes at the same time. We're messy and emotional and often irrational, but we're also fiercely loyal. When we decide someone is worth protecting, we protect them with everything we have. Even strangers. Especially strangers, Una said. Because they need it most. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Day was reviewing casualty reports. 3 fighters lost in the initial battle. All pilots had ejected safely and been recovered. 2 destroyers had taken damage but were still operational. No deaths. No serious injuries. Against 3,000 hostile ships, they had taken almost no losses. It was the kind of victory that would be studied in military academies for decades. But Day wasn't celebrating. He was thinking about the 162 bioships that had escaped. They would tell others about humanity. They would spread fear and caution. Good, he thought. Let them be afraid. Let every species in the galaxy know that humans protect the innocent, and let them know what happens to those who threaten civilians. Admiral Sung appeared on his command screen. Captain Day, status report. Evacuation is 70% complete, Admiral. We should have everyone off the planet in 6 hours. No complications. Casualties? Minimal, sir. The Marines report excellent cooperation from the refugees. Dr. Bayek says the Quelvens are handling the trauma better than expected. Sung nodded. Good. Begin preparations for departure. I want to get these people to a safe world as quickly as possible. Where are we taking them, sir? Earth has offered asylum. All 40,000 of them. We're setting up a colony in the New Zealand sector. Similar climate to Velara 7 already terraformed. They'll be safe there. Day smiled slightly. Earth's taking in 40,000 refugees? The politicians must be having heart attacks. Let them, Sung replied. These people need a home. We have room. Simple math. And if the Krethok come back looking for them? Sung's expression hardened. Then they'll find out what happens when you threaten people under human protection. We'll kill them all. It wasn't a boast. It was a statement of fact. Back on the planet, Commander Hyun watched the last transport lift off. 40,000 Quelvens now safe aboard human ships. 40,000 people who would have been dead if the fleet had arrived even an hour later. He touched his helmet's communication system. Commander Hyun to Admiral Sung. Surface evacuation complete. All civilians are secure. No casualties. Excellent work, Commander, Sung replied. Get your people back to the ships. We're going home. Hyun looked at the empty colony one last time. The houses were still there. The gardens still bloomed. But the people were gone, saved from a horror they never should have faced. Yes, sir, Hyun said. Heading back now. As his transport lifted off, he saw Quelven families through the windows of other ships. They were pressed against the glass, watching their world disappear below them. Some were crying. Others looked numb. All of them were alive. That's what mattered. In the fleet's recreation area, Lieutenant Sora finally got her rest. She lay in her bunk and stared at the ceiling. The horizon's edge dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Velara system, exactly 36 hours after receiving the distress call. Captain J. Park immediately scanned the area, his hands steady on the controls despite his racing heart. The Krethok swarm filled his sensors. Thousands of dark shapes moving in coordinated patterns. They looked like a plague spreading across space. "Send the message," Jay said quietly. His communications officer, Sora, opened a channel to the planet. "Velara 7, this is the horizon's edge. The cavalry's here. Get everyone to shelters. Things are about to get loud." On the planet below, Tyalvin heard the message and felt tears in his eyes. One small ship had come. Against all reason, against all logic, one human captain had pushed his vessel to the breaking point to reach them. "He came," Sela whispered. "He actually came. Alert the population," Tyalvin said. "Everyone into the deep shelters now." Across Velara 7, Quelvins began moving underground. Parents carried children. The elderly helped each other down the stairs. They were terrified, but they moved with purpose. The human had come. Maybe others would follow. In space, the Krethok had noticed the new arrival. Hive Commander Skrull studied the small vessel with his compound eyes. It was tiny, unarmed, helpless. "One ship," Skrull chittered to his officers. "They sent one ship to stop us." His officers clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among the Krethok. "One ship against 3,000. The humans must be fools. Destroy it," Skrull ordered. "Quickly." Then we returned to harvesting the planet. 200 bioships broke formation and moved toward the horizon's edge. They were fast, organic, and deadly. Each one carried enough biological weapons to sterilize a city. Jay saw them coming. He had no weapons. No shield strong enough to survive that kind of attack. "He had perhaps 3 minutes to live, sir," Sora said quietly. "It's been an honor," Jay smiled. "We bought them time. That's what matters." Then space exploded with light. The third fleet arrived. It happened in seconds. First one ship appeared, then 5, then 20, then 47. They materialized in perfect formation, a wall of human steel and fury between the Krethok and their prey. The flagship, Indomitable, was in the center, 2 kilometers of armored destruction. Around it, carriers deployed their fighters. Destroyers took up defensive positions. Cruisers powered their weapons. On every bridge, human crew members sat at their stations, calm and ready. Admiral Sung opened a channel to the planet. His voice was clear and strong. "This is Admiral Choi of the Terran Defense Force. We received your distress call. Hold position. We're getting you out." Talvin stared at his displays in shock. 47 ships. The human had brought 47 ships. For them, for strangers, but why? He whispered. "We are not your people. Why?" Captain Day's voice came through from the Indomitable. "Today you are." In the deep shelters, 40,000 Quelvins heard those words through the emergency broadcast system. "Today you are our people." Some of them wept. Others simply stared in disbelief. Elder Pyrrha, the colony's chief counselor, felt something she had never experienced before. Hope. Real hope. Not the desperate hope of the dying, but the solid certainty that help had truly arrived. In space, Hive Commander Skrull was not weeping. He was calculating. 47 ships. Large ships. Well-armed ships. This changed things. But he had 3,000 bioships. Surely numbers would prevail. "All vessels," Skrull commanded. "Attack formation. Overwhelm them. They cannot stop us all." The Krethok swarm surged forward like a wave of darkness. 3,000 ships moving as one, ready to tear the human fleet apart. Admiral Sung watched them come. He had fought pirates, mercenaries, and rogue colonies, but he had never fought a true swarm before. This would be interesting. "All ships," he said calmly. "Weapons free. Protect the planet. Leave nothing alive that threatens civilians." The human fleet opened fire. Space lit up with missile trails, energy beams, and kinetic rounds. The sound of it was silent in the vacuum, but the fury was visible. Humans fought with precision and overwhelming violence. Lieutenant Sora launched from her carrier in her fighter, her squadron forming up around her. 200 human fighters against 3,000 bioships. Bad odds, but humans were used to bad odds. "Reaper Squadron," she called over the comm. "Stay tight. Watch your sectors. Kill anything that moves toward the planet." "Copy that, Reaper," her wingman replied. Let's show these bugs what humans do. The first engagement lasted 30 seconds. In that time, 200 Krethok bioships died. Human weapons were faster, more accurate, and far more deadly than anything the swarm had encountered before. Skrull watched in growing horror as his forces took casualties. 20 ships, 50 ships, 100 ships. The humans were cutting through his swarm like fire through dry grass. They're just primitives, he chittered in confusion. How are they doing this? His tactical officer had the answer. Commander, their weapon systems are far more advanced than our estimates suggested. Their point defense is eliminating 98% of our projectiles. Their fighters move faster than our bioships can track. And their capital ships? Commander, their capital ships are destroying us. On the Indomitable, Captain Day watched his weapon systems work with satisfaction. The ship's main cannons fired every 6 seconds and every shot killed a bioship. Around him, his crew worked with practiced efficiency. No panic, no fear, just professionals doing their jobs. Target the command clusters, Day ordered. Break their coordination. The Indomitable's weapons shifted targets, hunting for the larger bioships that controlled the swarm. Each time one died, 100 smaller ships faltered, confused without direction. In her fighter, Sora destroyed her 10th bioship and immediately moved to her next target. Her hands moved across the controls without thought. Aim, fire, kill, move. Aim, fire, kill, move. She had trained for this for years. Now it was real. Reaper, you've got 3 on your tail, her wingman called. Not for long, Sora replied. She pulled her fighter into a turn that would have killed most organic pilots. The G-forces crushed her into her seat, but her suit kept her conscious. She came around and fired. 3 bioships exploded. Scratch 3 more, her wingman said admiringly. Down on the planet, the Quelvans watched through the sensor feeds. They saw human ships moving with impossible speed. They saw weapons firing with perfect accuracy. They saw a fleet that fought like a single organism, coordinated and deadly. They're beautiful, Elder Pyrrha whispered. Terrible, but beautiful. Talvin understood what she meant. The humans were killing with artistry. Every move was calculated. Every shot was precise. This was violence raised to the level of science. They're protecting us, he said quietly. All this destruction. It's to keep us safe. In space, Hive Commander Skrull realized he was losing. He had started with 3,000 ships. Now he had less than 2,000. The humans had lost 3 fighters, 3 out of 200. This was impossible. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat to the edge of the system. We will regroup and— Negative, Admiral Sung's voice cut through on an open channel. You attacked civilians. You don't get to leave. Skrull felt fear for the first time in his life. The human admiral was hunting him. Not just defeating him. Hunting him. We are leaving this system, Skrull tried to sound confident. You cannot stop all of us. Watch me, Sung replied. The human fleet shifted formation. Ships moved to block every escape route. Fighters swarmed the edges of the swarm. Missiles filled the space between. Skrull's forces tried to run. They scattered in all directions, desperate to escape. But the humans were faster. Human ships appeared wherever the Krethok fled. Human weapons found every target. In 30 minutes, the battle was over. 2,800 Krethok bioships were destroyed. 162 escaped, fleeing into deep space with their drives burning at maximum power. They would spread the word. They would tell other swarms. They would warn the galaxy about the humans. The human fleet had lost 3 fighters and taken minor damage to 2 destroyers. No deaths, no serious injuries. Admiral Sung looked at the tactical display and nodded. All ships begin evacuation operations. Marines to the surface. Medical teams on standby. Let's get these people to safety. Captain J, still sitting in his tiny scout ship, let out a long breath. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. The swarm? Sora asked. No, Jay said. Our fleet. We're supposed to be the good guys, but when we fight— He shook his head. I almost feel sorry for the Krethok. Don't, Sora replied. They came here to eat children. They got exactly what they deserved. On Velara 7, the evacuation sirens changed tone. Not danger anymore, safety. The human ships were coming down. The Marines were here. Elder Pyrrha stood at the entrance to the main shelter and watched the first transport descend. It was huge, armored, and covered with weapons. She expected monsters to emerge. Instead, a young human woman stepped out. She wore medical insignia and carried a scanner. She saw Elder Pyrrha and smiled gently. Hello, the human said in careful Quelvan. My name is Ensign Wu Jin. We're here to help. Is anyone injured? Elder Pyrrha stared at her. This warrior species, these killers who had just destroyed a swarm, were sending medics first. We don't understand you, she said softly. Admiral Sung Choi stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, his jaw tight as he watched the distress call play for the third time. The Quelvan diplomat's voice was shaking. 40,000 people. 3 days. A swarm of killers coming to eat them alive. Around him, other officers were already moving. Fleet positions appeared on the tactical display. Ships showed green for ready, yellow for preparation, red for maintenance. Sung needed green ships, lots of them. How many can we mobilize in 2 hours? He asked. Commander Hyun Lee looked up from his console. Third Fleet is currently at 80% readiness. That's 47 ships including carriers. We can have them moving in 90 minutes if we skip standard protocols. Skip them, Sung said immediately. What about the Fifth Fleet? They're conducting exercises near Titan, 4 hours minimum to recall and redirect. Do it. Send the Third Fleet now. Fifth Fleet is reinforcement. Sung turned to his communications officer. Get me the Galactic Council. I want to inform them we're moving ships into their territory. The officer hesitated. Sir, the Council requires 7 days' notice for fleet movements. We need authorization forms, diplomatic clearances. People will be dead in 3 days, Sung interrupted. His voice was calm but hard as steel. File the paperwork after we launch. If the Council has complaints, they can send them to my desk. Within minutes, the command center was chaos. Officers shouted coordinates. Ships began warming their faster-than-light drives. Marines loaded into transport shuttles. Medical teams prepared hospital ships. Supply officers scrambled to provision 47 warships for extended combat. Dr. Yuna Bayek arrived 20 minutes later, slightly out of breath. She was a civilian xenobiologist, completely unprepared for the military activity around her. Admiral, she said, I received an urgent summons. Dr. Beck, Sung said, gesturing her to a display screen. Tell me everything you know about the Quelvans. Yuna blinked. The Quelvans? They're a peaceful species. Herbivores mostly. They have beautiful art, complex poetry, and a culture that values. How do we keep them alive? Sung interrupted. Medical needs. Environmental requirements, psychological considerations. I'm sending 15,000 Marines to evacuate them. I need to know how to do it without hurting them. Yuna stared at him. You're sending... Admiral, forgive me, but 47 ships seems excessive for an evacuation. How many people are we saving? 40,000. 40,000? Yuna did quick mental math. That's more than 1 ship per 1,000 evacuees. That's an invasion force, not a rescue mission. Sung's expression didn't change. The Krethok have thousands of bioships. If we're going to get those people out, we need to go through the swarm. That means we need enough firepower to win. To win? Yuna repeated. Admiral, the mission is evacuation, not combat. We should be focusing on... Doctor, Sung said quietly. The Krethok are coming to slaughter 40,000 civilians. Men, women, and children. If we show up with anything less than overwhelming force, we'll just be adding human casualties to the count. I will not ask my people to die because I was too cautious. We're going in heavy and we're going in hard. Now, will you help me keep the Quelvans alive once we get them on our ships? Yuna swallowed. She had never been in a room with this much focused aggression, but underneath it she recognized something else. Care. The Admiral wasn't planning a war. He was planning a rescue. He just happened to be the kind of person who brought an army to do it. Yes, she said. I'll need access to the fleet's medical database and a link to the science team. Done, Sung said. He snapped his fingers at a nearby officer. Get Dr. Baek everything she needs. She's attached to the flagship. Across the room, Captain Dae Huang was studying the tactical projection of the Velara system. He commanded the Indomitable, the fleet's largest dreadnought. 2 kilometers of armor, weapons, and crew. The kind of ship that made other species nervous. Admiral, Dae said, the Krethok swarm is estimated at 3,000 bioships. Our simulations give us favorable odds, but casualties could be significant. Then we make sure the odds stay favorable, Sung replied. I want every ship equipped with anti-swarm munitions, cluster missiles, point defense networks, and chemical weapons. Chemical weapons are banned by Council treaty, someone pointed out. Sung turned slowly. The Krethok aren't signatories to that treaty. They're an extermination swarm. We'll use whatever works, he paused. But document everything. I want clear records showing we only use them against the swarm. Not the Quelvans. The officer nodded quickly and made notes. Lieutenant Sora Han, one of the fleet's best fighter pilots, was in the briefing room with her squadron when the orders came through. Her call sign was Reaper, earned during a pirate suppression mission where she had destroyed 12 hostile craft without taking a hit. Listen up, the squadron commander said. We're launching in 70 minutes. Target is the Velara system. Hostile count is 3,000 plus. Mission is combat space superiority and civilian evacuation support. One of the younger pilots raised his hand. Sir, did you say 3,000 hostiles? Affirmative. For one squadron? Negative. Full fleet deployment. 47 ships, 200 fighters, and enough Marines to occupy a small planet. The commander smiled grimly. We're going to show the Krethok what happens when they threaten civilians. Sora felt her heartbeat quicken. This was it. Real combat. Not exercises or simulations. Real people needed help and the fleet was going to provide it. Who are we saving? Someone asked. Quelvans. Peaceful species. Never been in a war. About 40,000 of them. The commander pulled up images of the Quelvans on the screen. They looked fragile with thin limbs and large eyes. Intelligence says they're terrified. So when we arrive, we need to be professional. We're there to save them, not scare them worse. The pilot studied the images. Sora thought they looked like artists, not soldiers. The kind of people who would write poems about flowers while the galaxy burned around them. We launch in 68 minutes, the commander said. Check your systems, say your prayers, and get ready. This is what we trained for. Back in the command center, Ambassador Hana Kim appeared on the main screen. She was at the council diplomatic station, and behind her, Sung could see dozens of alien delegates arguing. Admiral, Hana said, her expression tight. The council is having a collective panic attack. They're saying your fleet deployment is aggressive, unauthorized, and threatening to galactic peace. What do they suggest? Sung asked. They're forming a committee to study the situation. Estimated timeline for a rescue plan is 11 days. 11 days, Sung repeated flatly. The Quelvans will be dead in 3. I explained that, Hana said. Several times loudly. The Vortan delegate actually accused me of being emotionally unstable because I was upset about genocide. Sung's jaw tightened. Ambassador, inform the council that we are proceeding with fleet deployment. We will respect all territorial boundaries except where civilian lives are in immediate danger. If they have complaints, they can file them after we've saved 40,000 people. Hana smiled slightly. I'll phrase it more diplomatically. But yes, Admiral, that's essentially what I've been telling them. Have any other species offered support? Sung asked. The Helixians are sending 3 frigates. They'll arrive approximately the same time as your fleet. Hana paused. Admiral, they're treating this like a token gesture. 3 ships. For 40,000 people. Then we'll appreciate their 3 ships and do the job with our 47, Sung replied. At least they're trying. One more thing, Hana added. The Quelvan diplomat on the station, Talvin, asked me why we're sending so many ships. He doesn't understand why humans would mobilize an entire armada for strangers. Sung was quiet for a moment. Tell him we had a saying on Earth. No one left behind. It started in the military, but it became something more. A philosophy. A promise. If someone is in trouble and we can help, we help. It doesn't matter if they're human or alien. It doesn't matter what it costs. We don't leave people to die. Hana nodded slowly. I'll tell him. Though I think he'll have trouble believing it until he sees your ships arrive. Then we'll make sure we arrive on time, Sung said. Command out. The screen went dark. Sung turned back to his officers. The command center was humming with controlled chaos. Ships were launching. Marines were boarding. Supplies were being loaded. In 90 minutes, 47 warships would begin the fastest journey to Velara that physics allowed. Admiral, Commander Hyun said quietly. Earth Command is asking about the cost analysis for this operation. They want projected expenses. Sung didn't even look up from his displays. Tell them to calculate it after we're done. Right now I have 40,000 people to save. And if Command orders us to stand down, Sung met Hyun's eyes. Then Command can come out here and take my command in person. But until they do, this fleet is moving. Hyun smiled slightly. Yes, sir. 1 hour later, the 3rd Fleet began launching from Earth orbit. Ship after ship powered up their drives and shot into the darkness. 47 vessels moving as one, carrying 15,000 Marines, hundreds of fighters, and enough firepower to crack a planet. They were going to save people they had never met, in a system they had never visited, at a cost that made accountants weep. Because that's what humans did. The alarm screamed through Station Velara like a dying animal. Talvin's long fingers trembled as he watched the display screens. Red warnings covered every surface. His people were going to die, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The Krethok were coming. Talvin had lived for 60 cycles, and he had never seen war. The Quelvins were a peaceful species. They built gardens, wrote poetry, and studied the stars. They had no weapons, no soldiers, no idea how to fight. Why would they? The galaxy had been peaceful for 300 years. The Galactic Council kept everyone safe, or so they thought. How long? Talvin asked. His voice was quiet, defeated. 3 days, replied his assistant, a young female named Sela. Her skin had turned pale blue with fear.
Maybe less.
The swarm is moving faster than we calculated. Through the main viewport, Talvin could see them, thousands of dark shapes moving through space like insects. Each one was a bioship, grown from living tissue and filled with Krethok warriors. They didn't negotiate. They didn't take prisoners. They simply consumed everything in their path. Velara 7 had 40,000 people, families, children. All of them were about to become food for the swarm. Send the distress call, Talvin said. All channels. Emergency priority. Sela's hands moved across her console. Moments later, the message began broadcasting across known space. This is Station Velara, Quelvin Colony 7. We are under attack by Krethok forces. Requesting immediate assistance. 40,000 civilians. 3 days until shields fail. Please. Someone. Anyone. Help us. The message repeated, over and over, sent to every species in the Galactic Council. Talvin sat in his chair and waited. He had done all he could. 3 hours passed. Then the responses started coming in. The Vortan Collective sent regrets. Too far away. The Helixian Empire offered prayers. The Centauri League promised to bring the matter before the Council at the next session. Next session. That was 5 days from now. They would all be dead by then. Talvin felt hope dying in his chest. The galaxy was full of advanced civilizations, mighty fleets, and ancient wisdom, but none of them would help. The cost was too high. The risk too great. 40,000 Quelvins were not worth the trouble. Then a new message arrived. Station Velara, this is Ambassador Hana Kim of the human delegation. I have received your distress call. Hold on, help is coming. Humans? Talvin searched his memory. He had heard of them. A young species from a world called Earth. They had joined the Council only 70 years ago. Strange creatures who walked on 2 legs and had almost no fur. They were loud, emotional, and often confused by proper diplomatic protocol, but they were far away. Very far. How could they possibly help? Ambassador Kim, Talvin replied. We are grateful for your response. However, we have perhaps 3 days. Our shields are failing. The Krethok number in the thousands. I do not see how. We have a ship nearby, Hana interrupted. Her voice was firm, confident. The horizon's edge. Captain J. Park is 2 days away from your position. He's already moving at maximum speed. 2 days, 1 ship, against thousands. Talvin felt his hope flicker and die completely. Ambassador, with all respect, 1 scout vessel cannot stop a swarm fleet. I know what you need, Hana said. And you'll get it. I'm contacting Earth Command right now. Just hold on. Keep your shields up as long as possible. We're coming. The message ended. Talvin stared at the screen, uncertain how to feel. The human ambassador sounded so sure, so determined, but it made no sense. Even if this Captain J arrived in time, what could 1 small ship do? Should I inform the people? Sela asked quietly. Talvin thought about it. Should he give them false hope? Or should he tell them the truth? That they would die here alone while the galaxy watched and did nothing? Tell them help is on the way, he finally said. Tell them the humans are coming. Sela nodded and began typing the announcement. Within minutes, it spread across the colony. Humans are coming. Humans are sending help. In the streets of Velara 7, the Quelvins gathered in their gardens and parks. They held their children close. They sang their traditional songs of comfort. And they waited. On the edge of the system, Captain J. Park sat in the command chair of the Horizon's Edge. His ship was small, fast, and completely unarmed. It was designed for exploration and diplomacy, not combat. He had a crew of 12 people. Against thousands of Krethok bioships, they would last approximately 30 seconds. But Jay had not hesitated when the orders came through. Go to Velara 7, be the first to arrive. Buy time for what? Jay had asked. For the fleet, his commanding officer had replied. What fleet? You'll see. Now, as Jay pushed his ship's engines past safe limits, he wondered what kind of fleet could possibly make a difference. The Galactic Council had ships, of course, but they were slow to mobilize. They needed committee meetings, authorization forms, and budget approvals. People would be dead before the first council ship left port. Captain, said his communications officer, a young woman named Sora, we're getting updates from Earth Command. There. Sir, you need to see this. Jay looked at the screen. His eyes went wide. Fleet mobilization order. 3rd Fleet, 47 warships. 12 carriers, 200 fighters. 15,000 Marines. They're sending an entire armada, Sora whispered. For one colony. For people who aren't even human. Jay felt something warm in his chest. Pride, maybe? Or just confirmation of something he had always believed about his species. Humans were strange, violent, and often foolish. But when someone needed help, they came running. Send a message to Station Velara, Jay said. Tell them the cavalry is coming, and it's bringing friends. Back on the station, Talvin received the message. He read it 3 times, certain he was mistranslating. An entire fleet for them? This cannot be correct, he said to Sela. Ask them to confirm the numbers. The confirmation came back. 47 ships minimum. I don't understand, Sela said. Why would they send so many? The cost must be enormous. We are not their people. We have no alliance with Earth. We have nothing to offer them in return. Talvin had no answer. In all his years of studying galactic civilizations, he had never encountered anything like this. Species helped their own. They protected their allies. They made calculated decisions based on profit and loss. But sending an armada to rescue strangers? It made no sense unless the humans were simply different. How long until Captain J arrives? Talvin asked. 36 hours, Sela replied. And the fleet? 3 days. Maybe less if they push their engines like Captain J is doing. 3 days. Exactly when the shields would fail. The timing would be impossibly close. Talvin looked out at the approaching swarm. They were closer now. He could see individual ships, dark and organic, pulsing with ugly life. Inform the colony, he said quietly. Tell them to prepare evacuation shelters, and tell them the humans are coming. Will they arrive in time? Sela asked. Talvin thought about Ambassador Hana's voice. So certain, so confident. He thought about Captain J, pushing his tiny ship to the breaking point to reach them. He thought about an entire fleet mobilizing for people they had never met. Yes, he said. I think they will.